This is Unit 7, Lesson 1. Unit 7 is your final unit. We're on the decline, as I said. Okay, really quickly here, I'm going to kind of zip through this pretty quickly. I think we're all comfortable with rounding, but I'm just going to kind of go through with you. Just making sure you know your place values. Your thousands place here. You got your hundredths, tens, ones, tenths, hundredths, thousandths, and the next decimal, if you want to the fourth decimal, is 10 thousandths. We won't get into that too much. But anyway, so in terms of rounding, just a quick review. So when you're rounding the nearest 1, so you look at the 1 value, okay, you look to the right of it, it's a 4, therefore you keep it a 2. It doesn't change. Okay, anything less than 5, we don't change. 5 or more, we change up. Okay, I think we know that stuff already. It's like here, 2 and a 7, so now we change that 2 to a 3. Okay, there's my rounding for 1s. Tens, so I go to the tens place. It's an 8. I look to that next, it's a 2. That means I keep it the same, so it'd be 8 with a 0. All right, look here, I got again 8 with a 6. 6 is higher than 5, therefore the 8 changes to a 9. Round up for tens there, tens value. Hundreds value. Okay, you look at the tens digit, so it's 1, 3, keep the same, so 100. 1, 8, change to a 2. 65, 200. Okay. All right, like I said, a little redundant here, but let's just go over the decimals real quick, and we'll get into some examples here. So decimals, we're doing the tenths. Now here we're looking at the 4. The next one's a 3, therefore I keep it a 4. I got 4, 9. It's a little tricky here because it goes to 0, right? We go up, we run up to 5 because of the 9. Okay, oh sorry, the next one's the tricky one, not this one. That's just normal, just 9 up to 5. This one, 9 to 1, keep it a 9. This one, 7, we round that up, but if I round 9 up, what's it go up to? Yeah, to 10, so I have to add a 1 to the 4 even, so it goes kind of 2 spots here. So this changes to a 0, add 1 to there, gives you 0.50. They do write 0.50 because it says the nearest hundredth, just to show that you're doing that. Okay, so it's okay to have that 0 there. Okay, all right, so complete the following. I'll do this one. I'll let you guys do that one. We'll go around. I think we're to Hunter next. So 538. So this one here would be 539 because after the 8's a 5. For the tens, 538 would be 540. 3 to 8 round up to 4. Hundreds would be 500. Tenth, 538.6. Hundredth, 538.60. It's that same thing. The 6 rounds that up to a 0, which rounds that up to a 6. First decimal place is the same as the tenth. Second decimal place is the same as the hundredth. Okay? All right, so Hunter, Ross, Kyle, Calvin, Steph, Nikki, and Chloe. Okay, so you just tell me when you're ready, round to the nearest ones, tens, hundreds again, just the same thing with a different number. Okay? Did not one. Yeah. 10,965, good. 10,965. Okay, 10,960, good. Okay, Kyle, hundreds. Yeah, 11,000, we have to move it over 1. So this rounds up to 0, which bumps the 1 over, good. 10,964.9, good. Hundredth, Steph. Yeah. Or no, 90? No, sorry. It stays 89. I lied. Because after the 9's a 3, so we keep it. And then, sorry, we'll just, Nikki, Chloe go next, but that's just same here. That's just same here. I'll come back to you guys. Okay. Okay, so now we're going to show you how to do this in your calculator. It's actually kind of neat. I actually haven't used this feature. I used the other one before, but this is pretty neat. So it's using the mode feature. So what you're going to do right now is take your calculator and hit mode. You're going to come down, you're going to find that float button. Okay? It wants you to float. We're going to go to the second. Okay, we're going to go to the second decimal. So all your answers in your calculator will round to that second decimal for you. Okay, so you go mode, float, go click over to 2 and hit enter on it. So it's telling you to do right here. Okay, everybody get to that point? Once you're there, type in 3.885 and hit enter, and you'll see it'll round it for you to 3.89. Yeah. Yeah. Everybody get that okay? So float, click over to the 2, hit enter, type in 3.885 in your calculator, and hit enter, and you'll see it rounded for you. Okay? Let me know if you have questions here. I'll pause the video. You probably don't need help rounding, but it is a feature that you can take advantage of if you want to. Yeah, you can take it off. Just go back to float. Okay, another way you can use a rounding feature in your calculator, okay, is so in your calculator, hit math, click over to number. You'll see round there. We got that? And we're going to try this question here, 0.95 times 0.83. So this is where it's a little tricky, so I'm going to highlight this for you. This is what you want to type in. 0.95 times 0.83, comma, 2. That'll round to the second decimal point for you. So I'll write it for you. So in your calculator, so click the round button, math, number, round. So you have round. We're doing this problem here. So you do 0.95 times 0.83, comma, 2. Comma's right above the 1. Yeah. Typically you do. Yeah, it probably is. Probably is faster if you can just do it on your own, I agree. Okay. So that's one other way. So then I just want you to here, go and practice your calculator on those 4. Okay, just to practice. So you can do either way you want. Doesn't matter. Use the calculator for these 2 for sure, just to practice. These 2, obviously, I understand. 10.62. 2. This one would be 15.39. Nope, 3.8. 3.8, sorry. Okay, and we'll do these 2 here. Okay, so you should have got for this one 22.2. This one should have been 9.13. Okay. Okay, so the good news is we did do the scientific notation lesson, even though it wasn't on your test, but you kind of should already know this. So we are kind of coming back to scientific notation. It really helps you because, I mean, you guys having the metric system uses tens, so using this is very helpful. But anyways, just a reminder, standard notation, just writing it out. Scientific notation is shortening it. Remember, the base has to be between 1 and 10. Your base can't be bigger or smaller than 1 and 10. So 1.5 is what we use. So you always chop it right there after the 1. Okay? So 1.5 times 10 to the 8th. How do they get the 8th? Remember, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Okay? It's how many places it moved over. Okay? So for example, express each of these in scientific notation to the nearest 10th. So this combination of rounding and using what we already learned for scientific notation, the number I want you to understand is 7.53, right? I have to use 7.53 as my base. What does that round to the nearest 10th? 7.5. So 7.5 is my base. Now, how many spots? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Times 10 to the 7th. Tells you how many spots to move to the right. Okay, is there questions there? Okay. So this one, we're going to move the decimal which way? The left. So what happens to your exponent? It's negative now, right? So remember, this number is 3.892. I'm putting it there on purpose because I know it can't be 38. I know it can't be 0.3. It has to be here to make it between 1 and 10. So in that case, what's that round to? 3.9. So 3.9. So I put my dot there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 10 to the negative fifth. Okay. So do you guys remember how we did these ones here? When we did the scientific notation? Anybody remember? So what we did was we multiplied the bases and then we multiplied the exponents. Okay, 10 to the 2 times 10 to the negative 6, that's 2 plus negative 6, but they're exponent rules from, remember, way back when. So that's going to be 2 plus negative 6. I'm going to have 10 to the negative 4. I'm not going to be done yet because I don't know what this is going to be yet. What's 4.35 times 5.13? It's 22-ish? 22.3155. So why can't I write my answer like this? Right, it's not between 1 and 10. I need that decimal one spot where? So if I'm moving it one spot to the left, what do I do to this? Do I minus 1 or plus 1? I plus 1, right? Opposite. Because I'm making it smaller, therefore I have to make this bigger to level it out. So I'm going to go 2.2, because that's what this rounds the nearest tenth, times 10 to the negative 3, because I add 1. Negative 4 plus 1. Okay, you can figure out if that's right or not by simply just doing it. Okay, any questions there? All right. So then this one, same thing. Go ahead, divide these two. Divide these two. Well, a negative 2 minus a negative 10, because we divide exponents, you subtract them. That's addition. So this is going to be 10 to the 8th. What's 8.6 divided by 5.1? 1.667. So 1.7. Is 1.7 acceptable?
Yes.
We're done. 1.7 times 10 to the 8th. Because 1.7 is bigger than 1. Okay, lastly, go ahead and multiply C there, and we're going to break that into scientific notation. So what's 79.308 times 34.6021? Okay, 2,744.22. I need to move this decimal thing, so we're going to round it. So I need to move this over 1, 2, 3. 2.7 times 10 to the third. So we're going to the nearest tenth, so we can hack off that other stuff. Okay? 2.74. 4 means I round down, so I keep 2.7. Okay? Move along quickly, so this is good. All right. So when replacing variables numbers, you always use brackets, okay? So what it's saying is it gives you an equation here with x and y. It says, hey, x is 2, y is negative 3. When you're plugging in those values, always use brackets. The reason that's important is because when you have stuff like a negative 3, if you don't use brackets, it can mess up your signs. You're going to see what I'm talking about right here. If I put negative 3 squared, that tells me the negative 3 squared. That's good. Minus 7 times 2 minus 3. I just plugged in the values it gave me. I'm just seeing the solution. That's all I'm doing. Negative 3 squared is 9. 7 times 2 is 14, so minus 14 minus 3. Your first answer is negative 8. This is where I'm showing you that the negative sign, the brackets, is very helpful. So watch. 9 times 2 squared minus negative 3. See that bracket? Shows you have a minus a minus. If you don't put the bracket there, I can see you just putting the 3 there and just making it a minus. A lot of people did that last class. Okay, plus negative 3 cubed. Everybody here knows that's 2 squared. That's 4. Minus a minus is a plus. A negative number cubed is what? Negative. So it's going to be a negative 27. 9 times 4 is 36, plus 3 minus 27. 39 minus 27, 12. 12 is the answer here. Okay, we're on the decline here. We're just going to show you one more thing here using substitution with your graphing calculator. So the same thing we just did here, we can do it in our calculator actually. It's kind of interesting. This one's going to be helpful later in your math career. So in your graphing calculator, you'll see the STO arrow. It's right above the on button, down at the bottom left, I think. Okay, so what you're going to do first is press 2, STO, so store, that's what stands for store, and then hit the X variable button and enter. And what that does is it establishes your X as 2. So run your calculator right now. You're pressing the 2, STO, this is right above your on-off button, bottom left. It's the next button up. Variable button and enter. What that does is it makes your X equal to your calculator. Your calculator's saying, okay, X is 2. Next thing you're going to do is press the negative symbol, 3, store, alpha 1, which is y, enter. That establishes y is negative 3. Okay. Give you 1 second here. Let me know if you're having trouble finding any of those buttons. And when you're done, go ahead and enter in the problem we just did. Enter this in your calculator. Go 9x squared minus y plus y cubed and hit enter, and it's going to pump out the number for you. You should get 12 again. Okay, I'll pause it for a second. If you have questions, let me know. Okay, so, whoops. Okay, so we got, go ahead and do it on your own here real quick. A lot of you guys got good at that. You can use A and B, or you can change the X and Y, it doesn't matter. But do the same exact process here and figure out what this would equal. So establish that A is negative 2, so store A as negative 2, store B as negative 3. Okay, so make sure you put the negative in there. And then go ahead and calculate that, and then we'll do this last section here. I'll give you a second to try this on your own. All right, good. So you should have got negative 11. A lot of you guys did, so good work. Okay, this next piece is not meant to be confusing, even though it will be a little bit. You're just substituting values into formulas. Okay, so substitute the given value, then calculate. So what I want you to do is you're going to substitute 12. So 60 equals 12t. And then how do I solve for t? Divide by 12. Pretty simple, right? So 5 is t. That's all you're doing there. We don't have to round there at all. It's a whole number. This one, substitute 100 in. 100 equals 4 pi r. How do I solve for r? Yeah, divide by 4 pi. You can do 4 pi at the same time because 4 pi is a number. Okay? So 4 pi right there. Divide that out. What do we get for r? Pi is on the right side, I think, isn't it? Yeah, second caret. Second caret. Make sure you put brackets, okay? Your calculator does this differently. If you do 100 4 pi like this, you'll get it wrong. You have to do 100 divided by brackets 4 pi. Okay, so make sure you do that. So you should get 7.95. Nearest tenth be 7.9 up, so be 8.0 when you round that. If you got 78.9, that means you put in your calculator like I told you not to. Do not do it like this. That'll get you 78.9. Okay. Next one, so V is 95, so we put 95 there for V. What's that? You didn't get it? Okay, I'll come look at it in 1 second. Okay, so for this one here, we're going to go 95 divided by 4/3 to start. Make sure you put a bracket in your calculator to do that. Okay. So you should get 95 divided by 4/3. Okay, so what's this? Can somebody do that for me? You can do 4/3 pi, but I said 2 steps. This right here, 71. Point what? 25. Okay, so with 0.3. Okay, now divide by pi. Okay, and that should be roughly 20 something, 23, yeah. 23 point what? Get a whole number? 22.67. Yeah, be careful your calculator. 22.67, so 22.7. And then we have to cube root. Remember, cube root's the math. You have to go math. It's down at the bottom there, kind of the middle actually. Cube root. 22.7, you should get 2.8. Will be your answer there after you round. Okay. One more section here. We'll be done. I'll get you going on what you got to do today. Okay. Whoops. All right, so let's take a look at these ones, and I'll come around and get a couple of you need some help. So solve for the variable indicated. So what you're doing now is they want you to solve for the variable and then calculate. So I want you to work on manipulating the formula to help you. So we're solving for r here. Okay, so we want this by itself here. Okay, so we need to figure out, well, how do I get the r alone? Okay, well, how do we get rid of a divide by 4? Yeah, so we multiply by 4. That's the first step. So 4s now equals pi r. Simply divide by pi now. R equals 4s over pi. You're saying, well, we don't know s. Well, actually we do. They gave it to us right here. So now we can plug that in. R equals 4 times 75 over pi. Then we calculate that. You're going to get, when you do that, 95.5. So all we do is isolate the variable they asked us to. Okay, that's the work they wanted to see. And then we plugged in the value they gave us for that other variable we didn't know. Any questions on that? Okay, so check this one out. So now we're doing this. We've got to get r by itself again, still doing r. Divide the pi. So I have a over pi equals r squared. What do I do now? Square root, yeah. Square root, square root. R equals square root a over pi. Well, we don't know a. Yeah, we do. They told us it right there. So now r equals 72 over pi square rooted. When you calculate that, that's a calculation now. You're going to get 4.8 for r this time. Okay. Last one. Any questions? Okay, so the last one here, we're actually changing up on you. I missed it last class. We're solving for h, not r. Okay, so pay attention to that. Okay, so we're going for h. So first thing I want to do, I'm going to get rid of the 1/3. How do you get rid of 1/3? Multiply by 3. Yeah, you can divide it, but dividing it is the same thing as multiplying by 3. So I have 3v now equals pi r squared h. Now what? We're trying to get h. Yeah, just divide this chunk off. That's all you have to do. Because all of them are multiplying, so I just divide these two off. So we get 3v over pi r squared equals h. Do we know r and v? Yep, they tell us r and v right there. 3 times 20 over pi 9 squared. So we do that calculation now. H ends up being 0.2. Okay, and that's it. So notes today. Unit 7, lesson 1.